Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's the Marne Morning Show. It's Friday, it's 10 a.m., and I'm coming in hot. I have Egan Sanders here with me today. I'm excited because we're going to talk about all kinds of things. He's a metaphysical men's coach, and you may not even know what that means, but we're going to break it down for you, and it's going to be great. So, Egan, do you want to just give us a quick overview? Like, tell us who you are and what you do.
I started off as an intuitive life coach and counselor and spiritual development teacher. So I've been doing that for about 30 years. And so I have the ability to sort of wear the thoughts and emotions of other people and sometimes see the future and see people's past lives. I've also worked with a lot of helping people change their belief system, setting goals, doing all sorts of things. And then recently, I realized that there was a need for metaphysical men, people who are in the metaphysical field where there's lots of women coaches and things for goddesses and all these things,
Right. Yeah.
but not as much for men. So I thought, well, let me focus on that group and helping them to get in touch with their masculine energy while still being sensitive, still being a sensitive new age guy, but also being masculine. So that's the balance, the equipoise, so to speak.
Yeah. So why do you think this is important? I mean, do you feel like toxic masculinity is on the downfall? I think there was a rise there for a bit in terms of we have to be masculinity, and then it kind of went off a cliff. And I'm seeing more sensitive new age guys. I don't know if it's just because I live in Santa Barbara, because of my age group, or what do you think? Like, is there a change happening that inspired you to create a product?
The culture has changed. And so we have women who are very masculine, men who are very feminine, and like everything in between. We still have the old paradigms of women who are very feminine and men who are extremely masculine. And sort of wading into it are all these sort of metaphysical people, spiritual people who are awakening, and they're like, well, I'm not sure, what I'm supposed to do. This book said I'm supposed to do this, and this talk show said I'm supposed to do that. So we have all these mixed messages. And so for myself, looking at all these things, you essentially have to get in touch with your true self and also saying, yes, I have a male body or I have a feminine body. And this is, who am I? What's my soul and all those things. So there's so many changes. I don't know if I understand all of it. I just know that unless we really align with our true selves and our true energy, whether feminine or masculine or a combination thereof,
Mm-hmm.
it creates chaos. It creates chaos. And so to bring order to it, we just have to own who we are and what we are. I'm a very sensitive guy. I could get emotional and do those things. And then I can also be very masculine. And so then there was always like a battle, like, well, who am I? Am I this guy who's, weeping at a chick flick? Or am I this guy who's going to the gym and, doing a heavy workout? So trying to make sense of all those things and then being in the culture where there's all these images, it's confusing. So I'm really trying to help people sift through that and to find out what's real for them, and especially,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can take the opposite viewpoint, right? Because I'm a woman who is aggressive and I have to go out and do things. I have to, put forth that energy. I have to, in order to run a business. And a lot of times I realize I have this moment of realization where, wow, I'm not receiving. I'm not, I don't have that feminine goddess energy. And so things like, like how do I become more of the goddess, that I am? And I think it's just this moment of realization for each individual and realizing that they're not whole, they're not balanced. There's not that balance. So do you feel like that's what you bring? You help men get in touch with a holistic sort of way of being as a human? Or is it more drawing in one aspect or the other?
I think you have to integrate the yin and the yang. You have to. I recall the last spiritual women, and they were just very masculine. And I was like, well, they're so independent and successful and this and that. The most I could do is maybe open a door for them, or be like very like it was like going on a date with a man. And I'm like, well, not that I've been on a date with a man, but what I would imagine it would be like. And so,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, there's anything wrong with that. But it was showing me that something was changing in the culture. So then I was like, well, how do you deal with that? And so how do you show up as a masculine man if you're around women, who are a certain way or in the culture? And I found that you can do it with humor and a sense of inner strength and relaxation, because it can be very beautiful to be around a woman who's strong, and confident and successful. But we're not one-dimensional beings. And so, yes, I can be very sensitive, but then I, have to go to the gym and do things. I can read spiritual books and, be doing my mantras or whatever it is. And then you have to, change the oil in your car. You have to be both of those things. And so I think the society, we're awakening to more of our multidimensional nature spiritually, but then also the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. So yeah, I basically show guys how to get in touch with their own sense of masculine power, and then to operate from that in a conscious, creative, and compassionate way. So it's a balance.
So it's interesting because we have this conversation about masculine, feminine, having a balance. But I think for the man that you're talking about, is he feels that there's some sense of missingness in his masculinity. And he's maybe, am I right? I'm making this up right now, but he's feels a sense of missingness in his masculinity. And he's like, okay, well, I'm not sure why, or how do I get there? Because I think a lot of people are just sort of waking up to the fact that they don't have to be a particular way. It's okay for a woman to have masculine qualities. It's okay for a man to have feminine qualities. So why do you think a man would make this decision to come to you? Like, why, what is he feeling that inspires him to get help?
They might be oversensitive. They might be a highly sensitive person, a male who has feelings and has a certain way of interacting with the world, or they're maybe a little bit more guarded or careful or oversensitive. And so they're saying, well, I'm having all these emotions and thoughts. How do I process this? And that show up as a male energy and not retreat. So those are some of the people that I'm going to work with. Some people are lost, with men. Men are a little bit different than women. Women are very socialized. They'll have girlfriends and do all those things. And guys have friends, but the statistics show that most men don't have a lot of other male friends. And so they're kind of operating the world, doing their job, maybe in a family, maybe single, and they don't have guys. And so we need other men to keep us accountable and to be supportive of us and to simply be around some testosterone. I was out the other night with a guy buddy of mine, and we were just having a drink at a nightclub and listening to music and just around another guy. And you act differently in the metaphysical and spiritual fields. It's predominantly women. I mean, not in all religions and all, but let's say metaphysics and probably what we're into, there's a preponderance of women. And so the guy comes into that and it's like, well, I want to participate, but I'm not sure where I fit. So really what I'm trying to do is have a movement where men can be that metaphysical, sensitive, and more conscious, compassionate person, but also be a guy.
Yes.
Go to the gym and take care of things. And, when things are tough, just make it work for them. So some guys need to man up. Some guys need to balance the energy. Some guys need to not get lost in their thoughts and emotions, but become more grounded and integrated.
Yeah, it's like your typical yoga class. I just noticed over the years, I've done yoga for decades, a couple decades now. And, I'm noticing more men, and it's the younger men that are coming in, younger than me. I know I look like I'm in my 30s, but but men who are in their 20s and 30s are coming into yoga classes and really interested in spirituality. And that's where I feel like the shift is happening, is there's this sense of awareness coming into this metaphysical space for a man who's like, no, I don't need to behave like that. I do have sensitive sides to me. I do have, a feminine side, and it's okay for me to be in this yoga class with a bunch of women. So I'm seeing it actually play out. And I don't know if it's just because I'm more wise now, and it's just what I'm seeing, where maybe I didn't see it before. But I think that there is a transition happening in our world where there is consciousness is rising. And it's with that, there's a lot of both men and women are becoming more aware of themselves and aware of what their needs are, and that this need to fully express themselves. And so I think you're taking a little piece of that for men, and you're helping create, a safe space where they can be masculine, but also it's okay to be sensitive too. Does that feel correct?
Back in the late 80s, when I began my metaphysical career, I was the guy going to the yoga class. I was that guy. And I remember even 30 years ago, I went to a relationship workshop. I'll never forget it. I think it was 5 guys, and I think it was like 25 women. And at one point in the process, the men had to sit on one side of the room, like in these chairs, and then the women could say anything they wanted, to them. So we all got blasted. And so we said, we just kind of like, we're like listening and, whatever. And then, they kind of say critical things and then loving things. And it was a combination. So, I've been at it for a long time trying to say, okay, I'm a spiritual guy. I'm a snag. I'm a sensitive new age guy. And I'm showing up to evolve here. But how do we do it? So what I'm doing now is really based on many years of experience and exploration, from doing like Tantra and, doing a lot of, I became a bodybuilder for a while, and I've had businesses, and I've done all sorts of things and worked with thousands of people, both men and women, in my classes and my coaching. So I think I understand the psychology well. And yes, the younger generation is imprinted a little bit differently. Also, Also, as we're going forward in time, different soul groups are being born. So if you look at the, people from, the baby boomers, that was a certain consciousness, and they had like, the hippies and, drugs and all those things. And then you had Gen X people, and that's my generation. So those people came in and had a different consciousness. Well, now you have these younger generations, and they're being born into a higher vibration, more people. There's 8 billion planet here. Back in the 80s, there was only 4 billion. So there's radical change here. And then people are saying, well, okay, yoga and the man bun, and, I'm going to do, whatever. They're into all these different things. But the essential question that we all ask ourselves is, who am I? Am I? So yes, I'm a soul, and I'm this person, and I have this body. But if I'm in this physical form and I'm a biological man, I have to be a masculine energy in some way, not maybe to an extreme spectrum of higher or lower, but I have to find the right point for me. And so that's what I kind of help the men who come to me, so they can fully step into their masculine energy on the spectrum that's right for them, and to get support in doing that. And so they feel like, okay, maybe I'm a very aggressive guy and I need to calm down a little bit. Maybe I'm not an aggressive guy and I need to just be a little stronger in certain areas. It's not like you have to be Clint Eastwood or something, or a tough guy all the time, but you have to have a balance and a presence about you.
So good. So do you have women that refer you out, or is it mostly men that find you? Like, how are you attracting?
I've always had a balance of clients, but I was working with one of my female clients today, and I was telling her, yes, I'm doing this program. She goes, oh, that's great. I love it. I'm going to send you so far. So there seems to be a demand where there's all these men out there who maybe they have spiritual partners, and then the women are looking at them going, he doesn't have enough friends, or he doesn't have enough outlets, or maybe he could be stronger in this area. So that's what's been happening. But I got to be honest, since I kind of switched over to this, and I tell people about it, I've had a lot of excitement. And I was like, well, I was like, all right, I think this is what I want to do. I've been thinking about it for some time. But the response, I think there's a need for it, because people, again, are trying to say, well, who am I? It's a challenge for metaphysical women too, because they become very conscious and elevated, and they're like, here's these spiritual guys here. I don't know how conscious they are, or they're too wishy-washy. I want a guy who's conscious and can be sensitive with me, but I also need a guy who's going to have a certain amount of strength.
Yes.
So I think I'm kind of being tossed in this mix saying, well, this is the metaphysical field and the spiritual field. I know this. And so maybe I can help balance some of those things out with the people who come to me. So
I love that. I think your service is very, very valuable. Now, I know we're in the process of building it. So you and I are working together. I'm helping you build it in Kajabi. But if somebody's watching this and is interested, how do they get a hold of you? Like I think we talked about putting a Calendly link. Do you want to put that in the comments?
We can. I will put one in the comments. I don't know how to do that right now.
I should have prepared you for this moment.
I'm Googling it right now. Let's go to the
Don't worry about it. I'll put it in the comments afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I do have my current website is mytransformationcoach.net.
Okay.
And I do have a link here for my initial conversation, which I generally speak to. I just put it in the chat there. I'll chat with somebody for a few minutes and kind of just see where they're at. So yeah, the men are welcome to contact me. I've also seemed to have a number of women who started contacting me and say, well, I have my husband or my boyfriend or my uncle or whatever. But Egan Sanders, it's fairly easy to find me on my current website or with the link or on the new website that I'm going to be creating for stepping boldly into the masculine energy.
I love it. Okay, so one final thing before we let our audience go. So for those who are watching this right now, man or woman, like what's your tip? How make somebody's life better today with your one piece of wisdom?
When we look at the outer world, it seems very set. There's always three things that we're being challenged with. Our mind and the ego telling us certain things, the echo of reality we see around ourselves, and maybe all the invisible energies of the mass consciousness. The good news is you're not those things. So whatever your mind is telling you at times, which may be negative, or you look at the reality and go, I don't know, I'm going to change this, or you kind of feel a funky mood, kind of like we're feeling in the country right now, where things are changing and sort of chaotic. The good news is you can always align with your true self, your spirit, I call it the divine self, your soul, and let yourself navigate that way. So allow yourself to kind of go inward and navigate that way, because all these other things are temporal and passing. And
just noise.
This too shall pass. It's just passing. Always redirect yourself. So that's how I've been able to move forward in life, is knowing no matter what's happened in the past or what's happening now, I can move forward. I just got to tune inward to my true self.
That's so beautiful. Well, it's been fun hanging out with you. Will you come on the show again? Because I think we could really dive deep into some fun topics here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. We'll have you back when we get your Kajabi platform built. But you stay on. We'll say goodbye to our audience. Bye, everybody. We love you. Sending lots of love and joy and peace and prosperity on your day today. You stay on, Egan, and we'll see you real soon.